Some say she looked like a goddess even when her world was falling apart. But on a quiet afternoon flight, passengers watched as Linda Evans suddenly slumped back in her seat, pale and motionless. The woman who once captivated millions as the elegant Crystal Carrington of Dynasty was now fragile and exhausted, her body and spirit worn by years of fame, heartbreak, and reinvention. The whispers that followed, of secret illnesses, loneliness, and an unending search for peace, would only deepen the mystery of Linda Evans. A woman whose beauty seemed untouchable but whose soul was often quietly breaking, her story began far from Hollywood glamour. Born Linda Evenstad on November 18, 1942, in Hartford, Connecticut, she was the second of 3 daughters in a Norwegian-American family. Her parents ran a small business, and life was modest but filled with laughter. When Linda was still young, the family packed up and moved to North Hollywood, California, a place that seemed to shimmer with impossible dreams. She was shy, almost painfully so, and never imagined being in front of a camera. But fate had other plans. Her first taste of performance came in high school, where a drama teacher noticed something special in the quiet blonde with the piercing blue eyes. He encouraged her to audition for small parts, and soon Linda found herself drawn into the world of acting. Her first roles were tiny, blink-and-you'll-miss her appearances on television shows, but each one chipped away at her insecurities. Then came a guest spot on Bachelor Father, starring John Forsythe. The irony, of course, was that years later, Forsythe would again play a crucial role in her destiny. This time as her on-screen husband in Dynasty, but before Dynasty ever came calling, Linda had to navigate a series of disappointments. In her 20s, she seemed to have it all: beauty, poise, and the kind of charm directors loved. Yet Hollywood can be cruel. Her breakout finally came in the 1960s with The Big Valley, where she starred alongside Barbara Stanwyck. As Audra Barkley, the graceful yet strong ranch daughter, Linda became a household name. She held her own next to Stanwyck, who became both a mentor and a second mother to her. It was during those years that Linda learned how to survive in an industry that devoured the weak. Off-screen, her love life was just as dramatic as any script. In 1968, she married actor and photographer John Derek. Their relationship was passionate, glamorous, and, like so many Hollywood romances, doomed. Derek left her for a much younger woman, the then unknown Bo Derek. The betrayal made headlines and left Linda shattered. She later confessed that it nearly broke her spirit, but in time, she chose forgiveness over bitterness. It was a turning point, one that shaped the strength she would later bring to her most famous role. Then came 1981, and Dynasty. The world was instantly captivated. As Crystal Carrington, Linda Evans embodied everything the 1980s worshipped: wealth, grace, and quiet power. Her on-screen rivalry with Joan Collins' Alexis became television legend. Week after week, audiences tuned in to see their glamorous battles, diamonds glittering, champagne flying, and catfights so iconic they became cultural touchstones. But behind the elegant facade, Linda was fighting her own battles. Fame, she once said, could be as heavy as the jewels they make you wear. The long hours, the public scrutiny, and the loneliness of stardom began to wear on her. When Dynasty ended in 1989, Linda seemed to vanish. Hollywood moved on to younger faces, and for the first time in decades, she found herself asking who she was without the cameras. She stepped away from acting and turned inward. Her interests shifted toward spirituality, health, and the quieter rhythms of life. She left Los Angeles and settled in the Pacific Northwest, where she embraced solitude and self-discovery. Yet even there, pain found her again. She suffered from chronic back problems, the result of old injuries, and years later underwent treatment that tested her endurance and faith, but Linda Evans was never one to give up. In her 60s, she surprised everyone by re-emerging, not as a Hollywood star, but as a woman reborn. She published her memoir, sharing intimate reflections about fame, love, and aging. In the UK, she made a television appearance on Hell's Kitchen and stunned audiences with her warmth and humility. The same poise that once made her the queen of primetime now made her relatable and deeply human. Still, she remained haunted by memories of love lost. Though she never remarried, Linda spoke fondly of the men who had touched her life and shaped her journey. She described her heartbreaks not as failures, but as lessons. "Love never leaves you," she once said. "It just changes form." That quiet resilience became her greatest legacy, not her beauty, not even her fame, but her ability to keep her heart open despite the scars. As the years passed, rare photos began to surface, candid moments of Linda walking her dogs, tending to her garden, or sitting by the fire with a cup of tea. In these private glimpses, fans saw something the cameras on Dynasty never captured: serenity. The woman who once wore diamonds and designer gowns now glowed with the kind of beauty that only peace can bring, and yet, the image of her collapsing on that flight years later lingered in the minds of those who witnessed it, a sobering reminder that even icons are mortal. It wasn't scandal or vanity that had undone her. It was exhaustion, a body that had carried too much, a heart that had felt too deeply. She recovered, of course, she always did, but the moment symbolized the fragility of a life lived under unrelenting light. Today, Linda Evans stands as a symbol of quiet strength. Her story isn't just about Hollywood glamour, it's about survival, forgiveness, and rediscovering one's worth beyond fame. The young girl from North Hollywood who once doubted herself became one of television's most beloved faces, and later, one of its most soulful survivors. So the next time you see those photographs, the ones capturing her radiant smile, her windswept hair, her eyes that seemed to hold both sadness and serenity, remember that behind them lies a woman who faced betrayal, pain, and reinvention with grace. Her beauty was never just skin deep. It was courage, earned one heartbreak at a time. Linda Evans may have stepped out of the spotlight, but her light still lingers, in every rerun, every fan memory, and every quiet photograph that whispers her story. If you were moved by her journey, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. There's always another untold story waiting just beyond the glamour.